You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live local TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top story comes from Emma Stein at the Detroit Free Press as Michigan has added 14,678 COVID-19 cases over the past week, averaging out at just under 2,100 cases per day. In addition to the cases, 160 deaths were also reported this week due to COVID-19 during that time period. As of Monday, test positivity rate stood at 15.1%, with the fatality rate among known cases at 1.4% during that time period as well. Again, this is all based on how many of those tests have actually been reported to the state, positive or negative. That 15.1%. At 1.4% among those tests and among the cases in this past week may not be entirely accurate, depending on how many of those at-home tests were reported to local health departments and local health departments then reporting to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Also making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. From Hannah McKay at the Detroit News, the Belle Nature Center renovations are complete and the Detroit Staple is open once again for business. The Nature Center closed in March of 2020 and has since undergone $2.5 million in renovations, including a new mid-puppy habitat, a pollinator area, and a replica Detroit sewer tunnel. Entry is free to the public, and there will be a rush of programming at the newly renovated Nature Center, said the Detroit Zoological Society in a news release. The Nature Center's hours are from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, and it is located on the northern tip of Belle Isle State Park. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Bridge, Michigan's Lauren Gibbons. Expect to see your absentee ballots be out in the mail and in your mailboxes very soon. Local clerks have until tomorrow, September 29th, to send them to residents who have applied, giving them the required 40 days prior to the election to return their completed ballot. Anybody is eligible to vote absentee in Michigan per a 2018 ballot initiative without any justification required to, such as temporarily being out of town, serving in the military, or other rationale, which was the standard pre-2018. You can find more information and contact your local clerk to learn more about absentee voting in your local area and apply for an absentee ballot if you would prefer to vote that way instead of at the polls this November. You can also find more information by visiting the Secretary of State's website, which is linked in this Bridge, Michigan article on our website, CivicCenterTV.com/megacast. All of those headlines are making news today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the CDC, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Wednesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, the leaves are changing, and there's plenty of fall fun in cities all across the Great Lakes state. We'll talk to Michigan tourism expert Otie McKinley from Pure Michigan up next on the Megacast.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick.
The virus will die.
It will be to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Fire Prevention Week is just around the corner. Join volunteer, part-time, and on-call firefighters at this year's Fire Open House. Catch up on your fire safety knowledge with live demonstrations and hands-on activities. Chat with local businesses and resources about fire prevention, see some familiar faces, fight future fires, and make some new friends. The West Bloomfield Fire Open House, October 2nd from noon to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live, local 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations all across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full programs and individual interviews on demand. Well, it is officially fall in the state of Michigan. It's starting to feel a lot like that as well over the past week or so. And as the colors start to change, the weather starts to change, people want to get outside and explore all the great things Michigan has to offer during the fall season. Here to tell us more about some of the great activities, events, and the wonders of some of the small cities here all across the Great Lakes State is the Media and Communications Manager for Pure Michigan. Otie McKinley joins us once again on the Megacast. Odie, thanks for being with us today. Odie, it appears you are muted.
After 2.5 years of this, you would think I would figure out how to unmute myself. My apologies. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to chat with you.
I'm going to chat with you as well. It's okay. We still run into those issues. I've done that even on this show too. And my excuse was it's fine. It's my first day. So first day in broadcasting. What are you going to do? Odie, plenty of fall fun happening in the state of Michigan. And so as we're now really in the official part of fall and it's really feeling like that outside, what are some of those great wonders of Michigan that people really enjoy in the fall that you would inspire others that are coming into the state this fall for tourism, for travel, to visit some family, to explore?
Well, certainly Michigan boasts 4 wonderful seasons. Not all people can embrace all 4, but certainly most can embrace fall. Warm summer-like days, cooler evenings. It's just a great time to be in Michigan, right? You've got the pumpkin patches and the cider mills and the beginning of the color change, depending where you are in the state. If you're up in the UP, the Western UP, or up in the Keweenaw Peninsula, you are certainly experiencing that color change now. And as we get a little deeper into fall, that line of color change shifts southern throughout the state. And so just great opportunities to get out and enjoy different parts of the state.
And what's interesting too is, as you said, exploring different parts of the state. What's really interesting about Michigan is that as much as we think about the thriving towns over the summer season, particularly those beach towns, those tourism towns, or nearby areas to places people frequent in the summer, whether it's the coast of Lake Michigan or the Upper Peninsula, Traverse City, Mackinac Island, that there are plenty of small cities too, all across the state in all different regions that have really special things going on in the fall season as well. Can you tell us about some of those that are unique to you that and unique to these cities in Michigan that you would encourage people to explore this fall?
Yeah, as I said, the cider mills, the apple orchards are across the state. And so if, you live in a metropolitan area or an urban area, you've got great fall opportunities, activities in your hometown, but to be able to get into some of the smaller towns, the Fruitville or the St. John's or Elma or, Gaylord up in the UP, just affords people to kind of get out, escape, enjoy a weekend. It's a day trip or a weekend trip throughout the state to just embrace this season.
And it's a great time too for some of the fun outdoor activities that people enjoy in the summer as well. But maybe it's a little bit more temperate and enjoyable in the fall when the temperatures aren't so high. You can bundle up a little bit and really enjoy the great outdoors. And among those as listed on the Pure Michigan website, michigan.org, and their fall travel guide is Hike Michigan's Wild Places. What are some of the best hiking locations in Michigan for those that want to get outside, have a good walk, and explore some of the beautiful nature here in the Great Lakes state?
Well, Michigan is the trail state, and trails not include or not to limit to hiking, but biking and paddling. The Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes is a great area in the summer. It can be populated. So in the fall, enjoy the weather, enjoy the temperate climate. Thousands of miles of hiking trails throughout the state. But in addition to hiking, paddling, kayaking and canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding in the fall is an incredible activity. Do it safely, make sure you've got a PFD, but to paddle down some of our native rivers and truly immerse yourself into the fall color tour, it's a wonderful experience, and I strongly encourage people to embrace that. It's there's a number of different canoe liveries throughout the state, depending on what river you want to go visit. What a great day to spend on the water.
And it's also for those that are going to be out on the water this fall, would like to be out on the water this fall. It's a great place. Michigan's a great place to visit also for those that are fishing enthusiasts and want to enjoy a day out on the water in the peaceful calm and the beautiful scenery of fall in Michigan. What are some of the best fishing locations in Michigan in the fall season?
Yeah, well, certainly if you're looking to get in a river, the salmon and steelhead on some of the bigger West Michigan rivers. Pure Marquette is a very popular one for the anglers, both fly fishing and spinning reel. But man, you catch into a steelhead, it might not be a calm, serene experience, but a high energy, lot going on experience. But the thrill of the catch is certainly well worth it. But also getting out onto the Great Lakes, right? Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, Lake Erie, easily accessible anyways, Ontario still included. But just as you said, as long as the temperatures are good and the weather is safe, it's always a great day to get on the water.
We're joined by Otie McKinley from Pure Michigan on today's edition of the Megacast. As always, your trip begins at michigan.org, whether you're a Michigan resident or you're coming into Michigan or you're looking to visit Michigan and explore all the fun that happens here in the fall season. You can find more info from Odie and the whole team at Pure Michigan at michigan.org. Odie, it's also a great time. We mentioned some of the smaller cities with their unique little attractions and areas of expertise and activities, but it's also a really great time of the year for some of the larger cities in the state of Michigan for some similar activities and just that fun city life that people love to explore when they come to a new place or even are visiting their home state. What are some of the fun key things happening in some of the major cities across the state of Michigan and all regions also?
That's such a great point. People often associate tourism with here in Michigan anyways, going up north. And while going up north is a beautiful experience, don't be don't turn your eye to spending a weekend in some of our great cities. Grand Rapids and Detroit, almost limitless opportunities to experience what some of our great urban centers offer. You know, the cultural opportunities, the food, the dining opportunities in both of those cities are well worth the opportunity that those urban centers in the state provide. There's not much better than being in downtown Detroit on a nice fall day, being able to walk through some of the gorgeous architecture that can be found in some of the older buildings in Detroit, walking through some of the newer buildings, seeing that architecture. It's such a wonderful, dynamic city. I strongly encourage anyone that is looking for a day trip or spend a weekend downtown. You certainly will not run out of things to do and experiences to enjoy.
We're joined by Otie McKinley. He is the Media and Communications Director for Pure Michigan with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. As always, your trip begins at michigan.org. And I highly encourage you, when you're on michigan.org, if you're looking for things to do in the fall, whether you live in the state or you're thinking about coming into Michigan for a weekend or for a week, however long you are going to be in the state of Michigan, 20 plus things to do in Michigan. Your ultimate fall bucket list has a lot of fun ideas and some supporting materials so that no matter what your areas of interest are, whether it is going and exploring some of the arts and culture in places like Grand Rapids or at Eastern Market or downtown Detroit, or going out on hikes in some of the great trails in the state of Michigan, fishing, whatever you fancy, you can find more information there. 20 plus things to do in Michigan, your ultimate fall bucket list on michigan.org. Odie, it's also a really great time of the year for beer enthusiasts in Michigan. Plenty of festivals happening all throughout the state of Michigan. For those beer lovers, where should they be going this fall?
Well, it is October. Therefore, it is Oktoberfest season. And again, moving back to the west side of the state in Grand Rapids, moving up to the middle, the Great Lakes Bay region, Frankenmuth, downtown Detroit, certainly have Oktoberfests. Up in Belle, Shorts Brewing Company just recently announced our 4th year of partnership. They launched the Pure Michigan Autumn IPA, which for the IPA fans, it's great news. But for the Michigan fans, you know, it's 100% brewed with Michigan grown and harvested ingredients. So that, you know, that partnership with an iconic Michigan brewery, again, marks our 4th year, it's fun for the Michigan fans, right? To be able to enjoy an adult beverage, but also know that a Michigan-based company using Michigan-based products is creating such a great cocktail.
We're joined by Otie McKinley from Pure Michigan on today's edition of the Megacast. Again, you can find more information on what to do in the state of Michigan all throughout the year, including in the fall season, by going to michigan.org. While you're there, plenty of great resources on their website. You can find information on certain attractions across the state, what to do if you're bringing kids into the state, and some fun family activities, as well as guides for each and every one of the seasons. And if you're really looking for something fun and you want to watch the colors change in Michigan without necessarily having to travel all throughout the state, and can do so from the comfort of your home with their live cameras as well. Michigan.org for all those details. Odie, anything else for us today before we let you go?
You know what? You've done a fantastic job of promoting our our website at michigan.org. It truly is a great wealth of resources when it comes to, again, visitors or Michiganders alike looking to learn about the state, what activities are out there, but also, you know, look at the hidden gems throughout the state, where, you know, moving to different parts of the state that might not be the most well-known areas, take an opportunity to do something different. Try something different with your family, build a different experience, build a different memory, and enjoy your travels throughout the state.
Odie, we appreciate you joining us, telling us more about all the fun that's happening in Michigan this fall, and giving us some of those secret places that maybe we aren't going to find right on the surface when we're looking for fun to have here in the Great Lakes State this fall.
That's great. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day and enjoy your fall.
You as well, Odie. Appreciate it. Your trip begins at michigan.org. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll talk to one Oakland County nonprofit that's trying to bring a little bit of comfort to kids in some uncomfortable positions in hospitals here in our local area. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Fire Prevention Week is just around the corner. Join volunteer, part-time, and on-call firefighters at this year's Fire Open House. Catch up on your fire safety knowledge with live demonstrations and hands-on activities. Chat with local businesses and resources about fire prevention, see some familiar faces, fight future fires, and make some new friends. The West Bloomfield Fire Open House, October 2nd from noon to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows, including today's, on our website there as well. You can also find individual interviews, so watch the show at your pace, anytime, anywhere, at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program is Nicholas Kristock. He is the founder and executive director of Fleece and Thank You, a nonprofit that is looking to prepare 2,222 blankets here in 2022 for hospitalized children in our local area. Nicholas, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, nice to see you, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on as well. For those that aren't familiar with your organization, we've had you on a few times here on the Megacast in the past, but those who are tuning in for the first time and haven't seen us talk to you before, tell us about Fleece and Thank You and what your organization does.
Absolutely. Yeah. When a child under the age of 18 goes into the hospital to start a treatment journey, they walk into the room, see plain white sheets, dark beige wallpaper. They're being asked to run a marathon, and they're already feeling defeated by the atmosphere. So Fleece and Thank You started 7 years ago to change the starting line for kids going through hospital treatments. When they walk into that room, it should be guaranteed now. We're close to making it a guarantee that there is a colorful piece of comfort waiting on the bed for them. And even more than just the color and comfort, with every fleece blanket we deliver, everyone carries a video message from the person that made it to the patient that receives it. So Tyler makes a blanket, can make a video that goes to Chloe. And the coolest part is that Chloe can send Tyler a message back. And so it's our mission to make 30,000 of these a year, one for every single patient in the hospital.
And so Fleece and Thank You is holding an event coming up Saturday, October 8th to help fulfill that message. You mentioned 30,000 is your goal for this year, 30,000 blankets and messages for kids and hospitals here in Michigan. But also at this particular event, you want to go and take out 1/15 of that approximately with 2,222 blankets. How are you going to pull that off, Nicholas?
Yeah, in 2019, we decided to try to set the Guinness World Record for most fleece blankets made. We thought maybe 500 people would show up to this event. We had 1,700 people come to this event from all across the state and out of state. And we all came together to make 2,017 blankets in about 6 hours. And so we are going to be attempting to break our own world record on Saturday, October 8th from 12 to 5 p.m. at UWM Sports Complex in Pontiac, Michigan, where we're going to try to get probably around 3,000 people inside a massive 110,000 square foot room and make over 2,000 blankets and break our record for kids in the hospital.
It's noon to 5 p.m. at the UWM Sports Complex on October 8th. That's a Saturday for this blanket drive. And so what do you need from people for this event? Do you need materials, or do you just need people to show up and be ready to help a lot of kids in our local area?
Yeah, this is going to be one of the easiest events for someone to tie into. We only need your time and your heart to serve. All of the materials, the blankets, the scissors, they will all be there on site, generously sponsored by our community and corporate sponsors. We just need a lot of bodies to come out on Saturday, October 8th and help us make blankets. You can come and make one blanket, or you can stay for all 5 hours. Really cool part of the event, Tyler, is for every good blanket that you make, and we'll have blanket checkers there, you'll be given a raffle ticket, and you'll be entered to win free groceries for a year from our friends at Kroger. And so you can make 50 amazing blankets and get 50 chances to win free groceries for a year. And one other really cool piece for anyone who's seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you know about the golden ticket. One of our 2,000 plus blankets at this event will have a golden ticket inside it. And that golden ticket is good for free ice cream for a year, thanks to our friends at Cold Stone.
Yeah, so a lot of great prizes for you to win as well. I mean, those free groceries for a year, especially with the way inflation's going, big time for that to bring that home. And what better way to do it than by helping a lot of kids also in the process? So either way, it's a win-win at the UWM Sports Complex with the Fleece and Thank You on October 8th. The time is noon to 5 p.m. And the goal is 2,222 blankets made during that about 5-hour period as they try to break their world record, their record. And so, Nicholas, as you go back to 2015 and the inception of this organization, it's had quite the wide impact on a lot of kids who have been in hospitals before in these tough situations, and has really been helpful to them in a number of ways. Tell us about some of the results that have come from the work that you and your organization has done in these approximately 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, we took something that wasn't new, right, Tyler? Like people have been making blankets for a long time, but we just saw that they were making them in 10s and 20s. Everyone was making them in November and December, and they were all giving them to the same 2 or 3 hospitals. We just said, let's address the greater problem. How many blankets do we need for the whole state? 30,000, 22 hospitals and health systems across Michigan. And the impact that we get to see on a weekly basis through the video messages that come back in the testimony, it's really powerful. And so often the theme there is it was a room we didn't want to be in, a diagnosis we didn't understand. Everything in our life was moving fast, hectic, chaotic, and we were hanging on by a thread. When we walked into that room, we saw that piece of color and comfort waiting on the bed. We just had a brief moment to have hope that everything was going to be okay. When we watched that video message from Tyler, it was just a moment to smile and laugh for a second and feel normal. And if we can change the starting line for 30,000 patients, I think we can change the rest of the journey for them. And that's what we're doing at Fleece and Thank You.
And where did this idea come from for you to find this organization and do this work, put forth this much effort to help so many kids over these 7 years?
Before 2015, I was living and working in Australia and doing a lot of work in the nonprofit space, serving kids in the hospital, Make-A-Wish Australia, and several other orgs. Moved back to Michigan and got an opportune text message from my twin sister, who at the time was at Mott Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor. And she said, Nick, when you get a free minute, can you make a blanket for a kid in the hospital? Just one blanket. And I'm aggressively curious. I ask way too many questions, Tyler. So I just started asking, well, how many blankets do you need? How often do you need them? And her answers back were like, well, we always need them. They never have enough, and they change the room. And It's like, you're one of the best hospitals around. How do you not have enough of something you need? So picked up the phone that day, called every children's hospital in the state, and everyone gave me the same answers. Always need blankets, change the room. We never have enough. And that was when the mission was started. Like, this isn't rocket science. Let's figure out how many kids go to the hospital, and let's just make that many blankets every year.
And since 2015, when this organization began, when Fleece and Thank You began, more than 200,000 volunteers have stepped up to create over 130,000 fleece-tied blankets at more than 5,000 different events. The organization has also raised more than $2 million to create these smiles and these interactions for kids who are really in need of something to smile about. You can learn more information on their website, fleeceandthankyou.org. That is fleeceandthankyou.org for more information, and of course, learn more about their upcoming events, including what's happening at the UWM Sports Complex in Pontiac on October 8th. You can register for the event for free on fleeceandthankyou.org. That is Saturday, October 8th from noon to 5 p.m. in Pontiac at the UWM Sports Complex. And Nicholas, in terms of overall operations of Fleece and Thank You at this time, what are some of the key needs for your organization that the community can also help out with beyond, of course, this great event coming up in October?
Yeah, outside of the big event coming up, we're always looking for groups to make blankets individually. And whether that's a family of 2 at Thanksgiving to a corporation of 2,000 spread across the country, we deliver our service to both of those and everything in between. Above and beyond blanket makers, always taking volunteers on site at our warehouse here in Farmington Hills to help with a lot of the back end processes of quality controlling these blankets. And that truly is one of our biggest needs. We're looking for community groups that can help us quality control finished blankets that come back from the event. Various things like fixing knots and those types of things. We need some groups to help us with that quality control element as a volunteer project.
We're joined by Nicholas Kristock. He is the founder of Fleece and Thank You, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. He also serves as their executive director. Learn more information at fleeceandthankyou.org. Fleeceandthankyou.org to learn more information. Order a blanket making kits yourself and get involved, as well as donate to this nonprofit organization, fleeceandthankyou.org. Nicholas, another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. Anything else that people should know about Fleece and Thank You at this time? Other ways that they can get involved, or anything else we haven't discussed about your organization?
Yeah, we've got a really awesome workforce development program at Fleece and Thank You, where a lot of the back end processes are actually made possible by some of our community partners that serve different adults and young adults with cognitive or physical impairments. And so every single day that our warehouse is running here, you can find one of our amazing community partners here with a work crew that's helping put together the kits, pressing the patch on the blankets. And so support for that program of ours is key. We'd like to be able to hire and employ some of those different individuals. And so definitely raising funds for that. And again, like I said, volunteer, come and see it in action. We're something that we're so tactile, and you can put the sweat equity in and touch this blanket and really be a part of our mission, because it truly, truly takes a village to make 30,000 blankets. So we need every hand that we can get.
Fleeceandthankyou.org is the website for the organization. Nicholas, thank you very much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.
October 8th, Saturday, October 8th, noon to 5 p.m., UWM Sports Complex. Their goal, 2,222 blankets in 5 hours. You can participate and register for free by visiting fleeceandthankyou.org. We'll take a break on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll talk about the very, very tumultuous and competitive political season that is ongoing here and soon to wrap up, with just a little bit over a month to go until Election Day, with Dave Dulio from the Oakland University Center for Civic Engagement. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live, local, 5 days per week TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program by visiting civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our programs on demand, full episodes and individual interviews as well. Joining us now on the Megacast is the director of Oakland University's Center for Civic Engagement. And he also is a professor of political science at Oakland University. Dave Dulio is with us once again on the Megacast. Dave, thanks for being with us today. It appears you may be muted, Dave, but
I am, Tyler. You know, you'd think that after all these Zoom meetings, I'd figured out how to turn the mute button off. My apologies.
Now, you know, it's going around today. It's the second person we've had that happen to. So, you know what? You're not the first. It's just, it's how things are going today. Technology's going up against, we're running against technology in this election,
Right on.
Dave. So, this is a really interesting election season here in the state of Michigan. We're just a little bit over 40 days from the election season. I know that because tomorrow's the day that the clerks are supposed to have already sent out their absentee ballots by, and that's within 40 days of the election. So 41 days from election day, and these races are getting closer and getting tighter and getting a lot more competitive as time goes on. And one of the most competitive races in our local area is the race between Elissa Slotkin, the incumbent Democrat, and Republican challenger Tom Barnett in the 7th district. Just how close is that race, and how is the incumbent Elissa Slotkin particularly doing in battling this Republican challenger?
Sure. You know, I think that this one is a race that has been not only on the radar here in Michigan for a long time, but nationally as well. This is one of those seats that Democrats have to defend if they've got any chance of keeping their majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. And it's starting to see a lot more money flow in. It's a tight race, as you mentioned, and that comes from a number of factors, right? I mean, Tom Barrett's a good candidate, strong candidate. He is capable of challenging Elissa Slotkin. He's pretty well funded, not as well funded as she is, simply because she's just been raising money hand over fist ever since she's been elected to Congress. Another factor is the sort of fundamentals of the district. They are leaning Republican, right? So Slotkin, as a Democrat, is running in a district that's friendly to Republicans. Tom Barrett's looking to take advantage of that. And then in the last week or so, we've seen, an issue pop up that might sway a few voters, right? Whether or not Elissa Slotkin well, it's not whether or not, she is renting an apartment from a donor of hers who's also in the government relations field. So he's a lobbyist, and she's advocated on an issue that is beneficial to that individual or his company, right? So that's an issue that is being injected into this race that might make it even more interesting.
And we've had situations like this before where candidates have run for office in an area that they not necessarily live in. That in the past we've seen that with particularly Andy Levin, who had been serving in Macomb County, and while he of course lives in Oakland County. So this is not something that's uncommon to see somebody running in mid-Michigan in the Lansing area, which is where the 7th Congressional District is currently sitting in the state of Michigan, but maybe not necessarily that being their permanent residence. But how much of a factor is that playing in to Elissa Slotkin's race in the polls at this time against?
Well, I think we don't know that right now, Tyler. I think that that remains to be seen. That and congressional elections sometimes don't have maybe the polling that we would like to see, right? Where there's usually less polling in congressional races than there are certainly for statewide races. But you make a good point about the fact that residency issues come up often, and they do. They come up almost every election cycle. It's certainly across the country. We've had them in the past before. I think it was the 1st Congressional District a few cycles back where there were questions about both candidates and whether or not they lived not just in the district, but in Michigan. And it was a question, right, that is back to the point you made about the rule that exists in Michigan that you don't have to live in the district where you want to run, which makes this Slotkin case even more interesting. She could have kept her residence in Holly and run in the 7th. Not a big deal. So, I see this as a bit of an unforced error on the Slotkin side because it was totally brought about by their own doing. Unnecessary, and now it's the effect that it's having is that it's taking her campaign off message when she needs to be still vigorously campaigning against Tom Barrett over on issues that where she wants the campaign to be waged, not over what might be a technicality in her view.
In terms of the other positions that are on the ballot, near the top of the ballot, of course, the most notable one in this midterm election is the gubernatorial race between Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Republican challenger Tudor Dixon for governor. But there's also key races in the Attorney General's office and the Secretary of State's office that haven't of late been projected to be maybe as competitive as a gubernatorial race, but still really important in the state and the future of the state's politics. In particular, let's talk about those two positions. We'll start with the Attorney General's race, where incumbent Democrat Dana Nessel is, of course, running against Republican challenger Matt DePerno. How close is that race, and how much of a chance do Republicans have of taking one of these or even both of these positions, Attorney General or Secretary of State?
I think they're both uphill battles, and a big component of that is the huge funding disparity that faces Mr. DePerno and Ms. Caramo. I think without the funding that they need to take their case to the voters, they're at a significant disadvantage. I also think that AG Nessel, Secretary of State Benson have been in office for 4 years. They have much higher name recognition. They have, which is another advantage as well, right? They have a record that they can run on. Now, their opponents would like to criticize that record, but they have something they can tout So I think, the fact that Mr. DePerno and Ms. Caramo are both less well known across the state, and they don't have the funds that they need to overcome that name ID advantage and get their message out, that makes it a tough uphill battle.
And there's certainly frustrations for moderates on the Democratic side and those independent voters with those that are currently in leadership in the state of Michigan, particularly as it pertains to how certain things were decided on and ran during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we know that's going to play a key role in many of these races for incumbent candidates, whether it's gubernatorial, Secretary of State, Attorney General, or down ballot. But in the cases of these two challengers from the Republicans, DePerno for Attorney General and Caramo for Secretary of State, do you believe that the Republicans may have made an error going so far toward the right and Trump Republican area of candidates and not maybe focusing on trying to get candidates in to these races that are a little bit more moderate and can pick up those independent voters or those frustrated Democrats and really compete with these incumbents?
Sure. I think to answer that question, let's just go back to the spring convention, the endorsement convention that the state GOP had, right? And in one case, it's Matt DePerno or Tom Leonard, right? Tom Leonard, Republican legislator, had run statewide before. He certainly a more traditional Republican, more and some folks might call him a establishment candidate. But I think that if it was Tom Leonard versus Dana Nessel, the campaign would be completely different. It would be, in fact, I would imagine you'd see the two of those have a debate here coming up pretty soon. Of course, Dana Nessel says she's not going to debate Matt DePerno, which I think is unfortunate. But that's, I don't think she would have said some of the things about Tom Leonard that she said about Matt DePerno. So I think that is, I think you're onto something there.
We're joined by Dave Dulio. He is a professor of political science at Oakland University, where he also serves as the director for their Center for Civic Engagement as well. You can find more information at oakland.edu/CCE, oakland.edu/CCE for information on the Center for Civic Engagement, as well as upcoming events, including their After Row event in October, early October, and of course, October 25th, Civility Day at Oakland University as well. Let's go back to the gubernatorial race between Gretchen Whitmer and Tudor Dixon. We've seen a rush of ads over the last several weeks from Tudor Dixon's campaign, and that's been matched as well by several more positive ads, let's say, from Governor Whitmer, and most of those negative or attack ads on Tudor Dixon, particularly being about her views on abortion. In terms of that race and narrowing that gap on the Republican side, how close are they in terms of being able to try to narrow that gap, get Tudor Dixon more of that name recognition and notoriety, and build her case against Governor Whitmer for this position?
Again, it all comes down to money, right? This is another example where Governor Whitmer has a huge funding advantage over Tudor Dixon, and what it's doing is what it has done is allow Gretchen Whitmer and her allies to define Tudor Dixon before Tudor Dixon's had a chance to define herself to voters in Michigan, right? If you ask the average voter in Michigan if they know one thing about Tudor Dixon, I would imagine that it would be that she is against abortion with no exceptions, because that is a message that has been hammered home just again and again and again by the Whitmer campaign and her allies. It is, which again makes it an uphill battle for Tudor Dixon. She doesn't have the name recognition. She's not been able to get her message out the way that she would, all because she doesn't have the kind of funding that Gretchen Whitmer does. It'll be interesting to see if any third-party groups come in and continue to spend for Tudor Dixon in hopes of bolstering that campaign.
We're joined by Dave Dulio from the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. He's also a professor of political science at Oakland as well. More information, oakland.edu/CCE. Dave, a couple more minutes with you. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the upcoming events at the Center for Civic Engagement, how people can get involved as we get closer and closer to this year's election.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Always appreciate you giving us a chance to talk about what we've got going on campus at OU. And October's a busy month. We've got a week from tomorrow, our next office hours session, where we highlight faculty experts at OU about issues that are popping up about public policy, about politics, about civic life in general. October happens to be Sustainability Month. There's a big effort underway at OU on sustainability. So we're going to talk to two faculty members who are involved in that sustainability effort about issues like climate change, about electrification, especially electric vehicles, a hot topic these days. And then, of course, you mentioned the After Roe event, where we'll have a Lincoln Douglas style debate between two really smart folks on the issue who come at it from different perspectives. And as I've said to you before, our goal here is not to change anybody's mind, but simply offer information. And we do that for a couple of reasons, right? One is that we have a ballot initiative coming up. If there are folks out there who don't have their opinion baked in, right? They might hear something here that helps them crystallize how they might want to vote on that ballot proposal. Another reason is we know that when folks understand where folks who disagree with them on an issue are coming from, why they hold the beliefs that they do, they end up being much more tolerant and accepting of those beliefs, right? So we see this as an opportunity to bolster public discourse and do it in a productive and responsible way. And the last one, Civility Day, we're partnering with the Civility Project, which you talked to Nolan Finley and I last week about this one, partnering with Nolan and Stephen Henderson, who run the Civility Project. It's a half-day conference where folks will hear from all kinds of speakers about civility in public life. We'll have, of course, Nolan and Stephen, but also Representative Debbie Dingell, Representative Fred Upton will be there. It'll be a great day. And one change that has occurred in the last since we last talked, Delta Dental has come in with a great sponsorship of that event. So the first 100 folks who register will be able to attend free. That gets you goodies throughout the day and lunch as well. So, and as you mentioned, everybody can go to oakland.edu/CCE for information on all of those.
Well, Dave, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
That does it for today's edition of the Megacast. We'll return on Thursday with a new program in the morning.